Hello, and welcome to episode 44 of Moms with Yarn. My name is Sharon, also known as Bronx Knitter 1 on Ravelry and Bronx Knitter on Instagram. Welcome! Is it Memorial Day weekend where you are? I hope it is, because I can't tell you, my whole neighborhood is celebrating, so there might be some music in the background, which is a-okay by me because it sounds good. But what smells even better is the food that's cooking. And I can't tell if it's coming from my house or their house. I don't care, because everybody's gonna eat. So, happy Memorial Day weekend. And to all the troops, I know that there are my own family members who served in the armed services. My grandfather and my brother were both in the Army, and my uncle was on the Air Force. So, thank you. And thank you to all the soldiers and anybody who was enlisted to help make my freedom possible. So you're probably wondering why I only podcasted a week ago, and here I am again podcasting. And the reason is that there are so many announcements that I just couldn't, some of them are gonna come to pass, and I didn't want it to pass by having to wait another week. So I'm here to give you all the news that is pertinent to this podcast. First of all, Remembering Remy ends this evening. I'm going to lock the thread. If I'm awake at midnight, I'll lock it at midnight. So that means that you only have until midnight Eastern to finish knitting up those hats and posting your pictures in the Ravelry group. The thread will be locked, and the prizes hopefully will be announced within a day or two. I'm going to have to coordinate with Tracy for that one. The other thing is the Tour de Fleece warm-up that was happening in the room is still ongoing, because the people that participated didn't have a chance to spin, didn't have time, just like I didn't have time to spin and get it done and get it posted. That's why it was a challenge. So we're going to extend it and just keep spinning until you've spun up those 2 braids, or even the one, doesn't matter at this point. And you can post your pictures in the thread for the Tour de Fleece warm-up, or you can post it on Instagram with the hashtag MWYTDF2016. And so I'll gather everybody's names and I'll do the random number generator and we'll pick a winner. The other thing is that Claire from the New Hampshire Knits audio podcast has opened up an Etsy store. It's called the Woolly Thistle, and the last time I checked, she was selling Hiya sharps and ribbon. I haven't checked in the past few days, so I don't know if she's selling something else. I heard from Emily at Fiberspace at Fibertown that she is going to be selling something other, but it was going to be a big surprise. So that means that there's other things in the shop, or there's going to be other things in the shop. And really, if you need some Hiya needles, you should check out the Woolly Thistle on Etsy. Another thing is Debbie from the Never Cast Off podcast. She and Sheila host that podcast. It's a video podcast. Well, Debbie is a designer, and I have opened up a thread in the room because Debbie has a new design out. It's called Fireplace Embers, and she is offering it to us for 30% off. In fact, she's offering 30% off of all of her patterns, and they're all very nice. The Fireplace Embers is the one that appeals to me the most because it's adjustable and you can make the changes, make it fit, use any size yarn. So the Fireplace Embers is her latest design, and if you go into the thread, you can click onto her page and pick up that pattern. But she's also offered us a pattern to give away as a prize. So I say to you, go to Debbie's design page, pick out a pattern that you like the best, post your answer in the Fireplace Embers thread, and we'll pick a winner from whoever enters. And they'll win a free copy of the Fireplace Embers shawl. And the last thing is, I heard from Lisa, who is known on Ravelry as A Life Full of Laugh. She hosts It is called the Sock Yarn Swappers Group. And she's having a summer cal, which is called the Summer of Squares. And what they're doing is they're using their minis to make any kind of modular knitting. It could be the sock yarn blanket, it could be hexapuffs, or it could be crocheted squares, knit or crochet she's accepting. And then just join the group and enter your knitting, because each one of those mitered squares counts, and do your knitting. And even, she said, as a side type of thing, you know, I guess you could swap there, because that's generally what her group does. And it's a way to forge camaraderie between knitters, and there's so many people out there making sock yarn blankets. It's incredible. I myself have managed to avoid falling into that, because I know how many minis you need and how many minis I don't have. So I've avoided it. I am going to try to continue to avoid it, but I don't know. This is very tempting. So Lisa's group is having the Summer of Squares cal, and she's doing it on both Ravelry and Instagram. And if you want to do it on Instagram, it is with the hashtag Summer of Squares, KAL. I'm pretty sure that's it. Nope. It's just hashtag Summer of Squares. It's a good thing I got my book. Anyhow, so the Summer of Squares cal goes from May 27th to August 27th. Everybody is welcome. I do believe you have to be a member of her group to be eligible for the prizes, however, and that's easy enough to do. So, lastly, there is a thread in the Moms with Yarn group. It's called Buy the Book. And the reason why I wanted to start that one is because a lot of my books that I have, personal books in my library, I have purchased because, oh, I want to make that. I want to make that. And then I put the book away because I'm already working on something. And then another book comes and I buy that one, and it's, oh, I'm going to make that. I'm going to make that. And then all these books end up on the shelf. And the reason I bought the pattern, or the reason I bought the book, was to make these patterns, and I never did. So it is time for me to stop buying books and to start knitting from those books. So if you have a personal library full of books that you purchased so you could make something that's in that book, then now is your chance to join. The knit along is going to be from June 1st to June 30th. Pick any one of your personal books or magazines and make something in it. That's it. There's no yarn requirement. There's nothing else. Just make something in one of your books that you purchased. And the top prize, I believe, is a $6 pattern on Ravelry, on your favorites list on Ravelry. So find a favorite pattern that costs $6, put it on your favorites list, and if you win the prize, that's what you will get. So that's no surprise. It's going to be run on the forum and also on Instagram, and it's going to use the hashtag MWYBTB. MWY, buy the book. I think that's it. I don't know. It's all in the Ravelry group and it's explained there. But I'm pretty sure it's MWYBTB. Anyhow, those are all the announcements that were fit to be made on this day. I really want somebody to win the Fireplace Embers cal pattern so I can knit with them in the group. Not that I'd have any prizes, but she is, so go and knit with her. I'm going to be knitting in there also. And while I have you here, and since those announcements went pretty quick, I think I should talk about what I'm knitting. So in my Stitched by Jessalou bag, which has a snap top that turns it into a bucket, and it's Christmas themed with hats and sweaters and scarves on it. I am using Miss Babs yarn. Ooh, 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 that's awfully bright. This is Miss Babs yarn. It's her sock yarn, and it is orange, even though that's not what she's calling it. Anyhow, whew, that's pretty bright. I am knitting the Hermione's Everyday Socks, and you can't see, oh my goodness, it is so blown out. I've already done the heel turn, and I'm working on the gusset. The pattern, excuse me, the pattern is by Erica Luder. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and I am using my Knitter's Pride needles, size 1. This is the first sock. It is one up from a basic plain vanilla sock. Oh, I'm so sorry you can't see this. I did make some modifications. She asked for 20 rows of ribbing. I did 15. For the legs, she asked for 72 rows. I did 60. I did follow the instructions for the modified gusset with the garter stitch edge, and that worked out pretty good. It did make a little bit of a seam, and that has more to do with my pickup skills than anything else, but it doesn't feel like a lump, so that ought to work. And in a few short rows I'll be ready to start the foot, and then I'll start the second sock right away, because this is so simple. You do it in between anything else I'm doing, so I can pick it up anytime. It's a 4-row repeat, and like I said, it's by Hermione's Everyday Sock by Erica Luder. Free pattern on Ravelry. I got this at Stitches East. Best purchase I ever made, ever. My second pattern, and I have sorry about that. I have Simona to thank for telling me about this pattern, because I happen to have a wild skein that needed some taming. And so she was telling me about this pattern. It's called Pinga. And it is by Pin Palan Wang Sai. It's on Knitty, and it's free. And I am using Hedgehog Fibers sock yarn in the peacock colorway. It's gorgeous, but it was wild, and it didn't want to be a sock, and it didn't want to be anything else, so thank goodness Simona told me about this, because this is the perfect pattern. I'm in the middle of a row because it's done almost all with short rows. So this is the scarf. So I think I have 14 feathers so far. And you knit until you run out of yarn, so this would make a perfect stash dash project, because this skein has, I don't know how many yards it has, but it has a lot. It says 350 meters, which must be 430 something. I don't know, I'm terrible at math, so it's a lot. So if you're gonna do a stash dash project, this is, and you have a wild skein of variegated yarn, this might be the project for you. And you know, I was looking at it and I'm saying, oh, it's so short, it's so short. But it's perfect. It makes a perfect asymmetrical scarf. So if you have a wild skein of something that needs taming, you should really consider this project. And because it's knit till you run out of yarn, just like Fireplace Embers, this might be the perfect project for you. And if your winter coats are black or dark like mine are, this is the perfect pick-me-up for what ails you in the wintertime. I love it. So that's my second project. I seem to have gone shawl crazy is what happened. But that is Pincha, P-I-N-C-H-A, and it is straight knitting. There's nothing fancy here except the short rows, if you consider that fancy. And that is in my Clementine Originals Christmas bag. Maybe there's a theme around here because it's so hot. I'm not complaining because it was so cold for a very long time. So the last thing I'm working on is my paid for pattern called Purple Plexi, and it is by Pinga. And I don't know who Pinga is, but they sure did design a pretty shawl. I am working with Dirty Water Dye Works. I read someplace about how they got their name, but I don't remember it anymore. I don't remember the story. But it has a bunch of blues that came as a set. I'll try not to lose any of them. A bunch of blues known as Drizzle, and a tonal gray skein known as March Skies. And it's very pretty, very good to work with. It feels like a sturdy yarn. And I didn't get very far because I got lost. So I'm a little bit tangled up here. So this is where I am right now. And the only reason why I had to stop here is because I forgot what my next color repeat is supposed to be. But it's a pretty big shawl. I think it uses up all of the yarn. And the only problem I have is that there's a lot of ends to weave in, and it's right at the lace border, so I'm not sure how to weave these in. I'm gonna have to find someplace on YouTube to tell me, because there's a lot of ends to weave in. I understand this shawl is gigantic. I don't care because I love it. The pattern calls, it's a paid for pattern now, so the pattern calls for going from darkest to lightest. But the lightest blue, which is in the middle here, matches the gray too close. So I decided to put it in the middle. And I just mixed this order up. And I got down here and I forgot what I did. I forgot which color comes next. Anyhow, I'm going to figure it out because I really want to get this done. And it's garter stitch, so it's really easy summer knitting. So the Progress Keeper is from Left Field Knitter. She has a store, leftfieldknitter.com, I believe, and you get a Progress Keeper along with 2 stitch markers at a very reasonable price. So this project is I'm using my Chowgu US size 6 which is a 4.0 millimeter. And it's resting in my Stitched by Sasha bag, where I hope to get some work done on it this long weekend, since we're having a long weekend. So that, my friends, is everything. I hope you're enjoying this beautiful warm weather on the East Coast that we're having. And since I've got nothing else and all the announcements have been made, I wish you happy eating. I wish you a day filled with joy and of remembering why you are where you are, because somebody else got us here, the troops. So enjoy your meal, enjoy your family, enjoy the sunshine and the extra day off from work. And I'll see you in 2 weeks.